الحمد لله محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته, and welcome to the fifth session on based on the kitab At-Tariqatul Muhammadiyya by Imam Al-Birgawi rahimahullah ta'ala, and we are on the second fasl now, Al-Fasl Thani, and this is regarding bid'ah. Okay, so what does it mean? Something which is khilaf of sunnah. So without going into more detail, let's engage with the topic itself as the Imam has explained. First, he will bring to us, this time there's no ayat from the Quran, and instead he goes straight to the akhbar. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Akhraj al-Bukhari wa Muslimun an Aisha radiyallahu anha annaha qalat قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو رد. That person who initiates in our matter meaning our religion, هذا, this religion of ours, ما ليس منه, that which is not from it, فهو رد, then is rejected. And this is a very concise but very comprehensive at the same time hadith, in which it encapsulates the whole sort of concept of bid'ah. So first of all, it has to be something which is ahdatha, something which has been innovated, made, meaning it doesn't have a precedent. That's the first thing. So bid'ah has to be ahdatha. Secondly, amrina hadha. It has to be in religion. So we're not talking about a bid'ah that people now start driving cars and they used to ride camels before. So that wouldn't be considered a bid'ah from this perspective. So it's an innovation, but it has to be also fi amrina, in a matter of religion. Ma laysa minhu, that which is not from it. So something can be from the religion which didn't exist before and now exists. Okay? Whereas something that is not from the religion. So bear that in mind. So we've got three things here to bear in mind. Firstly, it has to be something which is innovated. Secondly, this thing which has to be innovated has to be in religion, has to be in religious matters. And thirdly, it can't be something which has not come from it, meaning laysa ma laysa minhu. So something which has come from the outside in, not from the inside out, then it's rejected. What does it mean by rejected? Well, rejected is quite simple, that whenever we do an act which we consider to be an act of worship, which usually acts of bid'ah, is we think it will draw us closer to Allah. We think that we will be rewarded for it. Now, nobody, na'udhu billahi min zalik, drinks alcohol and thinks that he will be rewarded for that. Nobody commits zina and thinks that they will be rewarded for that. Nobody, kills somebody and thinks they'll be rewarded for that. Nobody steals something and thinks they will be rewarded for that. So that thing isn't called a bid'ah. So that's a sin. A bid'ah is something which, on the face of it, looks like you think you will get rewarded for. It is something which you are doing in order to draw close to Allah, not something which you're doing in order to move away from Allah. So therefore, by you trying to draw close to Allah, you want acceptance, you want reward, you want status. Hence, the way the hadith finishes is, فَهُوَ رَدٌّ, it is rejected. وَفِي رِوَايَةٍ مَنْ عَمَلَ عَمَلًا لَيْسَ عَلَيْهِ أَمْرُنَا فَهُوَ رَدٌّ. So very similar to the narration I've already quoted, or already Imam Birgawi has quoted, which is that person who performs an act which is not from our matter, meaning our religion, then it is rejected. وأخرج البخاري, Imam Bukhari has also narrated a hadith from Imam Zuhri rahimahullah ta'ala, in which he said, دخلت على أنس, I came to see Anas radiallahu anhu, وهو يبكي, and he was crying. فقلت, so I said to him, ما يبكيك, what makes you cry? قال, he said, لا أعرف شيئا مما أدركت إلا هذه الصلاة. That now when I look, remember Anas radiallahu anhu was a very young boy whilst the Prophet ﷺ was alive. He was probably in his teens, if I'm not mistaken, when the Prophet ﷺ passed away. So therefore, he would have spent a long life after the Prophet ﷺ had passed away, a good 30, 40 years. So he's crying, so he gets asked, why are you crying for? He says, لا أعرف شيئا مما أدركت إلا هذه الصلاة. I don't recognize any of the acts of the believers that I see except this prayer. This prayer is the only thing which I recognize from the time of the Prophet ﷺ. وَهَذِهِ الصَّلَاةُ قَدْ ضُيِّعَتْ. And even this salah itself is lost. It has a loss. There's no benefit to it. وأخرج طبراني, Imam Tabrani narrates, and Hudayf ibn Haris, from Hudayf ibn Haris رضي عنه, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, ما من أمة ابتدعت بعد نبيها في دينها بدعة إلا أضاءت مثلها من السنة. That there is nobody from a nation who initiates a act after the passing of their prophet in the deen. Okay, notice these qualifications that are coming, is qualifying these matters, as in bid'ah, except that something equivalent to it from the sunnah is lost. Now this is an interesting angle and interesting point, which is that a bid'ah is normally to do something for which there already is a sunnah practice. So that what we tend to find, that's another sign, is that a bid'ah is there in a place where there is already a sunnah. So for instance, if there is a sunnah practice of greeting people, so let's just say someone says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And somebody feels that, you know what, that I could get more reward because, you know, in the hadith it says that obviously a person will be rewarded if he was to say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So what I will do is I will say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh wa maghfiratuh. I will add wa maghfirah. And he doesn't find any in the sunnah, this particular methodology, thinking that this will draw close. And what will happen is people will stop using the practice which existed and instead bring this. So let's try to find another example. There's a cat that's climbed the tree, but I don't think it's going to be able to get down. That's pretty high up in there, stuck in there. Anyway, that's the cat's problem, not mine. I was wondering what that was in the tree, and then I thought, that's a cat. Anyway, I thought originally it was like a bag that had got caught in the tree, but now it's moving. It's clearly, or it could be something else. Anyway, we'll investigate that after we finish this. وأخرج الطبراني, Imam Tabrani رحمه الله narrates, again from Anas رضي عنه, أنه قال, that he said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, إن الله حجب توبة عن كل صاحب بدعة حتى يدع بدعته. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shielded, has prevented the repentance being accepted and kulli sahib bidah, from every innovator until he abandons his innovation. So not only this act that he's doing where he thinks he's drawing close to Allah, not only is that also ignored and put to one side, on top of that, his day-to-day forgiveness and his day-to-day life is also affected in that he can't ask. His repentance is not accepted. So it has a dual impact on him. وأخرج ابن ماجه عن ابن عباس رضي عنهما أنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أبى الله أن يقبل عمل الصاحب بدعة حتى يدع بدعته. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has refused to accept the act of a person who is an innovator until he leaves his innovation. Again, very similar to the narration we quoted earlier. وأخرج ابن ماجه عن حذيفة رضي عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يقبل الله لصاحب بدعة صوما ولا حجا ولا عمرة ولا جهادا ولا صرفا ولا عدلا يخرج من الإسلام كما تخرج الشعرة من العجين. So this is quite a more serious, threatening hadith, in that it's mentioned as the Prophet of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not accept the innovator's fasts, nor his pilgrimage, whether major or minor, nor his jihad, nor his engagement, and nor his ransoming or gifting or spending. He will come out from Islam like the way a hair is taken out from the flour, the kneaded flour. وَقَدْ سَبَكَ حَدِيثُ إِرْبَادِ ibn Sari wa Jabir. And the hadith, so he cites or references the hadith of Irbad ibn Sari and Jabir without necessarily quoting, because he said that has already preceded. So we now find something, as even though I kind of alluded to it in my discussion earlier, the Imam will now want to tackle this specifically. فإن قيل, so if it is said كيف تطبيق بين قوله عليه الصلاة والسلام كل بدعة ضلالة وبين قول الفقهاء إن البدعة قد تكون مباح. So if it is asked, how do we bring reconciliation between the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, in which he said all forms of innovations are deviations, and between the statement of the fuqaha when they say that bid'ah can sometimes be permissible, okay, mubah, like for example isti'mal mankhal, like using sieved flour, wal mu'adhabatu ala akli lubbil hinta, and also eating the flour that comes from the seed itself, wa shabu min, and eating to your fill. So these can sometimes, even though this is an innovation because this was not the practice of the companions, whereas if a person was to do that, then this would be permissible. So how do we now resolve that when the Prophet of Allah ﷺ said all forms of bid'ah are deviation? وَقَدْ تَكُونُ مُسْتَحَبَّةً, and sometimes it can be praiseworthy. So never mind it can be permissible, sometimes an innovation can be praiseworthy. Kabina il manara, like building a minara, the tower that we have attached to a masjid, so someone can stand on there to call out the adhan. Wal madaris, places of learning, Islamic learning, Islamic centers. Wa tasnif al kutub, and writing books, authoring books. Bal kad takunu wajiba, and sometimes it can be necessary. Kan nazm al dalail, like putting together proofs and evidences in order to rebut and critique and challenge the likes of the atheists and other than that. So therefore we see 4 different ahkam associated with bid'ah. We see mubah, we see mustahab, and we see where did we get to, wajib, and we also see did I get 4 or did I get 4 from mubah, mustahab, and wajib? 3. Okay, maths is clearly not my strong point. So he now starts to tackle this. So to bring reconciliation between the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, in which he said all forms of innovation are deviation, and we find the fuqaha saying that some innovations are permissible, some innovations are praiseworthy, and some innovations are necessary. How do we now fit the two? So he responds by saying, Qulna, we say, lil bid'ati ma'na lughwiyya amun, that the word bid'ah has a general linguistic meaning. What is that? Huwa al-muhdath mutlaq, and that means to innovate something. So for example, many people who are in the field of science are inventors. They invent things. They innovate. That's their job. People who are in the world of manufacturing, where they produce phones or they produce other items, they are regularly, all research centers are literally paid to be innovators, to be bid'atis in a general sense. Adatan or ibadatan, and this could be whether this person is doing it out of habit or it could be out of as an act of worship. So it's inclusive, includes all these. لأنها اسم من الابتداء بمعنى الإحداث, because the word is from the word ibtida', which means to bring about, to initiate, to innovate, to invent. Like the word rafa is from the word irtifa, and khalfa is from the word ikhtilaf. وهذه المقسم في عبارة الفقهاء يعنون بها ما أحدث بعد الصدر الأول. And this is what is meant in the text of the fuqaha. So when they speak about it, this is what they're talking about. ما أحدث, something which did not exist in the time of the first generation. So the madaris did not exist in the first generation, the minarats did not exist in the first generation, the challenging, giving dalil to support a position of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah did not exist, authoring books did not exist, eating sieved flour did not exist. So these sorts of things did not exist. So this is what the fuqaha say, that certain bid'ahs are permissible, certain bid'ahs are necessary, and certain bid'ahs are praiseworthy. This is what they were referring to. So we had the linguistic meaning. What is the shari'i meaning? وَمَعْنَى الشَّرْعِ خَاصٌ, and the meaning of the shari'i is more specific. هُوَ الزِّيَادَةُ فِي الدِّينِ أَوْ النُّقْصَانِ مِنْهُ, that means to add to the religion or to remove from the religion. الْحَادِثَانِ بَعْدَ الصَّحَابَةِ بِغَيْرِ إِذْنٍ مِنَ الشَّارِعِ, and these two are innovations after the companions without the permission from the Shari, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So these are the innovations he's speaking about, not the general innovation, which is anything linguistically, meaning anything which did not exist. So for example, driving a car now is a bid'ah, using a pen is a bid'ah, using a phone to record is a bid'ah. All these are bid'ah, but this is talking about the general linguistic term, not about the religious term. We now get onto the religious term, and the religious term is to either add to the religion or to remove to the religion, or to remove from the religion rather, and that is what took place after the companions. لا قولا ولا فعلا ولا صريحا ولا إشارة. And there's no permission from the Shari, either we find some statement or we find an action of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, neither explicitly nor indicatively. فلا تتناول العادات أصلا, so it does not include habits or just general habits. بل تقتصر على بعض الاعتقادات, rather it is limited to some beliefs and some forms of acts of worship. فهذه مراد, so this is what the Prophet ﷺ meant by when he said فعليكم بالسنة وسنة خلفاء راشدين المهديين. So you should all adopt, it is binding upon you to adopt my sunnah and the sunnah of the Khulafa Rashidin al-Mahdiyin. We've already understood that the opposite, the antonym of sunnah is bid'ah. So therefore, if we adopt the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and we adopt the sunnah of the Khulafa Rashidin, then by default we are abandoning innovation. Because if you already have a practice, then you're not going to invent a practice. So therefore, it is our responsibility to learn the sunnah. That's why we found in the section which was to hold steadfast onto the sunnah, we found that man ahya sunnah, that person who revives a sunnah, then for him is the reward of martyrs. So the reviving of a sunnah is so important. Why? Because if a sunnah is forgotten and people find a space or a gap in the religion, then they will innovate in that. But if this person finds the sunnah, then there will be no need for innovation. وَقَوْلُ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ أَنْتُمْ أَعْلَمُ بِأَمْرِ دُنْيَاكُمْ. And also, if we remember, he said that you are far better, you are far more knowledgeable when it comes to matters of the dunya. So that clearly states that the Prophet ﷺ was not speaking about their non-religious affairs, because he himself openly said, I'm not as aware of your religious affairs as you are. وَقَوْلُوا عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ مَنْ أَحْدَثَ فِي أَمْرِنَا هَذَا مَا لَيْسَ مِنْهُ فَهُوَ رَدٌّ. That person who innovates in this matter of ours that is not from it, then is rejected. So it is specific to religion. That's the point that we've made. And I pointed this out even in the initial discussion. وَالْبِدْعَةُ فِي الْإِعْتِقَادِ. So these are bid'ah, the innovations when it comes to beliefs. هي المتبادرة من إطلاق البدعة والمبتدئ والهوى وأهل الأهواء. So it means this is focusing on the absolute nature of bid'ah, the innovator, the mubtadi, the hawa, the desires, the people of desires. Meaning these are those people whose real belief system is their own whims, their own desires, their own beliefs, their own way of life, what they want to do. And this is what they wish to follow. So if they do not find that in religion, then they innovate it. They try to bring it into religion to make it out that this is also a religious act. So you'll start to see people saying, well, we don't really need to pray anymore. What we can do is as long as we do good things, or as long as we believe Allah in our hearts, and that will suffice. So this is an innovation. Some innovations, وَبَعْدُهَا كُفْرٌ, are considered as kufr. وَبَعْدُهَا لَيْسَتْ بِهِ, and some aren't. وَلَكِنَّهَا, however, أَكْبَرُ مِنْ كُلِّ كَبِيرَ فِي الْأَمَلِ حَتَّى الْقَتْلِ. So this could be the worst of all the major sins in action, which is murder or committing zina. Well, and there's nothing more severe from a crime perspective of killing and zina than kufr. وَالْخَطْءُ فِي الْإِجْتِهَادِ فِيهِ لَيْسَ بِعُذْرٍ, and making an error in ijtihad in which there is no excuse. Not when it comes to ijtihad in acts. وَضَدَّ هَذِا الْبِدَعِ اِعْتِقَادٌ, and the opposite of these innovative beliefs is the belief of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, as I pointed to. So this was the innovation fil i'tiqad? What about wal bid'atu fil ibadah? وإن كانت دونها, if it is other than that, meaning if it is other than in beliefs, لكنها أيضا منكرا, then it is still considered as denial, and it is also considered as deviation. لا سيما إذا صادمت سنة, especially if it opposes an established sunnah. ومقابل هذا البدعة سنة الهدى, because in the opposite of this type of innovation is the sunnah of huda, because there is other sunnah in which is sunnatul ada, yani, or sunnatul zaida, which was the habits of the Prophet as a man, as an Arab, living 14 centuries ago. So these aren't necessarily sunnah of huda, sunnah which is religious or has a religious significance. وهي ما واظب عليه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من جنس الإبادة مع ترك أحيان. So this is that type, okay, which the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم was constant upon from the types of acts of worship, meaning he was regularly performing these مع ترك أحيانا, and he would abandon them sometimes only. Or عدم الإنكار على تاركه, or he did not rebuke somebody for leaving it. كالإعتكاف, like i'tikaf. وأما البدعة في العادة, and as for when it comes to innovations in habits, okay, like eating sieved flour, فليس فعل ذا, then this type of action is not considered as a deviation. بل ترك فعلها يقتضيه ما هو أولى, rather to leave it requires that to be better. So to leave it is better. Okay. وَضَدُّهَا السُّنَّةُ زَائِدَةٌ, and its opposite is the extra sunnah, meaning not the sunnah of guidance, but the extra sunnah. And what is this extra sunnah that we speak about? وَهِيَ مَا وَاظَبَ عَلَيْهِ, it is that which the Prophet was constantly upon, regularly performed, min jinsil adat, from types of habits that he had. Again, because he was a man, because he lived in the Arab lands, and because he lived 14 centuries ago, and also he was a man who wasn't superfluous in his spending. He was a man of meager earnings out of choice. He was a man who gave his money away. He chose to live in constraint and difficult circumstances out of choice. And other habits that he had, for example, kal ibtida'i bil yamin fil af'ali sharifa, that he would start with his right hand side when it came to honorable acts. Wa bil yasar fil khasisiyya, and also when it came to doing not so good acts, he would use his left hand. Fahiya mustahabba, and this was considered praiseworthy. فظهر أن البدع بمعنى العام ثلاث أصناف مرتبا في القبح. So that becomes clear that the bid'ah, which is the meaning, general meaning, is of three types. Okay. فإذا علمت هذا, so if you understand this, فالمنارة أون لإعلام وقت الصلاة, then the minaret helps in notifying people the act of salah, which is the purpose of adhan. So the adhan already existed. Okay, remember I said it comes from outside of the deen. The adhan already exists within the deen. All the minaret does is it increases its capacity. It assists that, because the purpose of adhan is to call people towards salah. So by building a tall tower and asking somebody to stand on there, all that does is it enhances what already exists within the religion. It does not replace. It does not say that instead of the adhan we should blow a flute or something else. What it does is it still considers the adhan, but all it does is it enhances it. وَالْمَدَارِسُ وَتَصْنِيفُ الْكُتُبْ أَوْنِ لِتَعْلِيمِ وَتَبْلِيغِ, and all the places of learning, centers of religious learning, and the authoring of books, all that does is help in educating and propagating. So that's really what that does, education and propagation. Now, education and propagation are within the deen. This is something which the Prophet ﷺ did from the word go, where he educated. Propagation, the Prophet ﷺ from the word go was propagating the religion. But he didn't do it through the madaris. He didn't do it through writing books. So this just becomes a means to enhance what already existed. وَرَدُّ الْمُبْتَدِئُ بِنَظْمِ الدَّلَائِلِ النَّهْيُ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَالذَّبِّ عَنِ الدِّينِ, and to challenge the innovators, particularly the innovators in aqaid, by establishing proofs and challenging them, is a form of prohibition from the wrong, prohibiting from wrong, and also obviously finding fault in religion. So what these do, so this is again what existed from the time of the Prophet ﷺ, in that he would prohibit wrongdoers, prohibit the sinners, tell them not to do that. And also anybody who found fault within the religion or challenged the religion, he would take them on. So same thing, this is what this does. The establishing proofs achieves the same thing. For kullun ma'dhun fi. So all these are being already, permission has been given by the Prophet ﷺ, because he himself did them. And in fact, not only is permission granted, bal ma'murun bihi, he has ordered them. This is what we should do. وَعَدْمُ وُقُوءِ فِي صَدْرِ أَوَّلِ إِمَّا لِأَدْمِ. So the question then arises, well, why didn't this take place in the time of the Prophet ﷺ? Why weren't madaris established in the time of the Prophet ﷺ? Why weren't books written at the time of the Prophet ﷺ? Why weren't minarets built at the time of the Prophet ﷺ? Why weren't dalail, proofs written and debates done and things of that nature in the time of the Prophet ﷺ? So Imam Birghawi answers that. He says, as for it not occurring in the first generation, إما لعدم الاحتياج, either because there was no need there at that particular time, أو لعدم القدرة لعدم المال, or because of incapability, because of the lack of finances, أو لعدم التفرغ بالاشتغال بالأهم, or because there was no free time available because people were occupied in greater things, أو لنحو, all reasons of such a nature. ولو تتبعت كل ما قيل فيه بدعة حسنة من جنس العبادة وجدت مأذونا فيه من الشارع إشارة أو دلالة. And if you were to follow this كل ما قيل, that everything which has been said in this particular topic, then you'll find that the term which is used for bid'atun hasana is also a type of worship, but you will find it permitted in there by the shari, either Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, either indicatively or dalalatan, or by induction. That will be there. So next what we'll do is go into the fi'lul bid'ah ashaddu darar min tarki sunnah, that an act of innovation is worse, more harmful than leaving a sunnah. But we've reached the end of our time today, inshallah, so I hope you can join me tomorrow for that. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.